Welcome to the Bear Talk, your go-to Chicago Bears podcast, where a father and son break down all things Bears. From Soldier Field to Sunday showdowns, I'm your host, and as always, joined with me, my dad. How you doing, Dad?
Doing great, Dill. Week 9 here, the 8th game of the season for our beloved Chicago Bears. Excited to see what they do in Cincinnati. I won't get to be there, but I heard you're going. What's your
Yeah,
say?
no, super excited. First Bears game of the year in person. Got some great tickets. We'll be right at about the 50-yard line, 5 rows back behind the Bears bench, so should be good. Um, didn't really think of it, but how big those football players, how they huddle up. I might get some of the view blocked to some of the sidelines, but nonetheless, it'll be a great experience. Another away stadium to check off the list. Last year we were at Houston in week 2, which was a cool stadium, sketchy area. But excited to go to the Bengals game tomorrow. It's just a quick little 3.5 hour drive for me, so nothing too bad about that. But super excited for the game. The Bears need to get on track this week, coming off a loss against the Ravens. Kind of this week, kind of felt like it was dragging by. After dealing with that loss, it felt like a couple weeks have been gone by since we last played, but this is a perfect game for the Bears to get right back on track. We'll run through the stats later on in the show, but this defense is very vulnerable, and it should be a very good showing for this Bears offense for them to kind of get right and pick up where they, for the most part, were having a good game, just couldn't ultimately convert field goals into touchdowns. But we will break that all down here later in the show. If you're new here, please don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, turn the bell notifications on so you're notified when we post. Always do a pregame, postgame show. Share it with your Bears friends. We're loving the support every week, just continuing to grow. But like I said, if you're new here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But let's hop into it. Like I said, this is kind of a get right game for the Bears this week, as long as they take care of business. But let's start off, as we always do on our pregame shows, with the injury report. Just kind of run through it. We'll start off on the Bears side. Some key people out this week for the Bears. Number one, most important, probably being DeAndre Swift. He's been dealing with this groin injury for about a month now, where he's missed some practice during the week, but ultimately suited up for game day. He is officially ruled out with that groin injury. Ben Johnson kind of talked about in his press conference earlier this week, talking about, sometimes the coaches have to, limit them players from, wanting to play, because obviously these are very high competitive athletes playing at the highest level, and they often at times may push themselves more than they should be pushing themselves. So I think the Bears are giving DeAndre Swift a rest week here. And like I said, once you bring up the stats, it kind of makes sense. This is kind of a perfect game to let him maybe heal up and get closer to 100% next week. But that's the big loss for the Bears this week. On top of that, one of the other running backs, Roschon Johnson, he is out again for the second consecutive week. So we're going to get a heavy dose of Kyle Monangai this week. And I wonder if we're going to see – I think his name is Maurice Alexander, I think, number 38, the running back. We saw him a lot in preseason. He was the one guy who had a lot of juice in preseason. Kind of just hits the hole. Not really a bigger guy, but he's really fast. I wonder if we're going to get to see him and Kyle Monangai back there together, or maybe we see a lot of DJ Moore back there, like, we've seen some of it this season. But now with just having Kyle Monangai available, maybe there is a lot of DJ Moore in the backfield this week taking handoffs. But outside of that, the other two Bears people that are going to be out is Dominique Robinson. He got hurt in last game. He has a high ankle sprain, not going to be there this week. And then Luther Burden still out with a concussion that he suffered last week in the game early in that Ravens game. So Luther Burden definitely has the playmaking ability, but the Bears haven't really been using him as much as maybe some fans would like. So I think it's obviously still a loss because of his speed and his threat he can make with the ball in his hands, but the Bears haven't used him too much in their offense, so I don't think that's too big of a loss. But I think you'd agree with me. DeAndre Swift's the big one that kind of stands out for the Bears not having him this week.
Yeah. You know who I'd like to see this week?
Who? Austin Booker?
Caleb Williams.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to see an air attack from Caleb Williams. I know that's what I would like to see. We've seen the defense, we've seen special teams. We need to see Caleb Williams this week. It's got to be the week.
Yeah. Caleb Williams is always on your mind, just like a lot of Bears fans out there. But, he'll hopefully he bounces back. We need him to for sure. But just not having DeAndre Swift, I think Kyle Monangai is just fine as a fill-in. But I think we'll definitely miss DeAndre Swift, especially in the receiving game. He's a lot more of a dangerous threat out of the backfield when he's in that passing game. So we'll see what Kyle Monangai can do this week. It'll be the first time where he's going to be taking the majority of the reps. He's continued, I feel like, every week to get better and better. So this will be a full chance to put it all on tape for him.
It would be. And, too, you talk about that, the run game of Swift and, the last few games where we've had a pretty good run offense the last couple of games. The checkdowns you mentioned with the Swift and the receiving game, maybe this is the week we see Colston Loveland, a tight end, being used as a checkdown. I saw a lot of, tight ends during National Tight End Week get used in some pretty great checkdown moments and putting up a lot of yards. I mean, heck, some of them got 2 touchdowns in some of their games that they played out there. So maybe this is the week we see Caleb Williams and Colston Loveland.
Yeah, I've been saying that for the past couple weeks, and it continues to just not be there. It is just weird to see, especially we've said it many times all through training camp. It was Colston Loveland, Olamide Zaccheaus in training camp in the joint practices, and honestly, both of them have been. I would say Olamide Zaccheaus has still made some of his plays, but it's not been as big as the word was on the street coming out of training camp, which is just weird. Usually things like that translate into the season, but so far, a little about to be at the halfway point through the season, and we still haven't got to see those connections develop. But let's turn it over to the Bengals side. Definitely a key injury for the Bengals. Trey Hendrickson is doubtful, didn't practice all week. I do not expect him to be playing. They still have him just listed as doubtful and not fully ruled out. Don't think he's going to play. They also have Logan Wilson, their linebacker, who is also doubtful, didn't practice all week as well. I don't know why the Bengals are doing this doubtful thing. If your guy didn't practice all week, it kind of seems like they're not going to play. They also have a cornerback in Marco Wilson, who is doubtful. And then the big one, obviously, is going to be Joe Flacco. He is going to be a game-time decision. However, I do think he's going to end up playing. He is dealing with that AC joint in his shoulder and his throwing arm. So hopefully the Bears defense can get home in this game pretty early, get him thrown on the ground a couple of times, not doing it on purpose, but, maybe make sure you land on his throwing shoulder, get him out of the game. Because if there's one thing Joe Flacco has done that Jake Browning couldn't do is he just throws the ball to Jamar Chase, as any quarterback should. The guy is averaging like over 18 targets a game since Flacco got in there. He's literally just throwing him the ball the majority of these passing plays. So if we can get Jake Browning back in there where their chemistry was really off, it definitely would help the Bears defense out because, nothing really scares me about this game, but Jamar Chase scares me about this game. The guy is an elite receiver, definitely have an argument to be the best receiver in the NFL at the moment. When he has the ball in his hands, his route running, he's a very dangerous player. And Joe Flacco, the veteran quarterback he is, he knows how to get him the ball, knows where he wants it, and he's doing the bare minimum of just giving him a chance to catch the ball. So it'd be nice maybe to get Flacco out of this game early. He's been dealing with the pain. He left last week's game early, then came back. So you never know what could happen. This Bengals O-line is terrible. I expect Dennis Allen maybe to heat up the blitz pretty early in this game and try to get after him because, like I said, that it's one thing if that AC joint was in his other shoulder, but it's in his throwing shoulder. You get him down to the ground a couple times and land on it, it's probably going to knock him out of the game. Not that we're ever wishing for injuries around here, but at the same time, you got to play. You got to play smart. If the same thing was with Caleb, they'd try to get him on the ground and take him out of the game. So those are the injuries for both sides. Obviously, it's kind of feels like, with the Bears, the main one is DeAndre Swift, and then with the Bengals, it's Trey Hendrickson, because their D-line without him, I mean, we'll read some of these stats later, but I was even reading them, and if the Bears don't win this game or don't have a successful day on offense, say the least, it will definitely be, it'll be something to worry about for sure if this Bears offense doesn't have a good week.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think we kind of didn't mention yet the new addition to the Bears and what could
we'll
that
get
do?
there. Yeah, we'll get there.
You're talking about Flacco, and I'm thinking I want this guy to play. He gives old men like me hope that we can still play well into our older age and actually do great. I mean, he's been pretty remarkable in his games he has played. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that new addition in that backfield for the Bears, especially with his press conference he had the other day. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. We can jump into it. We got through the injury report, so we'll start on the defensive side of the ball. Save the offense for the back end of the show. But as you're talking about, CJ Gardner-Johnson did sign with the Bears earlier this week. They had him in on Monday for a practice, like a private practice with just him to see where he's at. Obviously, like what they saw, signed him after that on Tuesday to the team. And the Bears need it. I talked about it last week after the Ravens loss, and it's not like the Bears defense was giving up these big explosive plays, but they were just giving up 5-yard, checkdowns because our DBs, more specifically, our nickel, and then the guy that I think Blackwell filled in a couple times for Tyreek Stevenson being out. They just couldn't keep up, and they're just giving 5-yard checkdowns, and it's demoralizing. Tyler Huntley, I think only 5 of his balls hit the ground, and I don't think that's credit to him. He found the guy to get the ball to, but it's more honestly has to do with our DBs not being able to keep up
or our quarterback.
Like we were just talking, whatever. Like we were just talking about, with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. We needed to bring somebody in this week to shut down, their passing game and limit it as much as possible. And CJ Gardner-Johnson, some people, question his attitude and, some of his actions on the field. But at the end of the day, dude, this guy is a good football player. The Bears coaching staff has proved one thing, like, especially with the Luther Burden thing. We heard coming out of college, he was a head case. We haven't seen any of that. Dennis Allen has familiarity with CJ Gardner-Johnson. That's where he started his career, is with the Saints. And not only that, Ben Johnson also, he was over in Detroit in one of Ben Johnson's first couple of years being an OC over there. Ben Johnson has familiarity with him. So it's really cool too. I think a point goes to just show this franchise is headed in the right direction. Is in the past with other coaching staffs, these are not the players they bring in because the coaching staff couldn't handle these type of players. But with Ben Johnson being here and getting this coaching staff around him, and Dennis Allen being a veteran coach he is, they can bring in players like this and know that they can work on their attitude, their body language, and control that as much as possible. Same thing with Antoine Randall. That's why he was brought over here, and probably why the Bears took a shot on Luther Burden in the second round when he should have been a first-round pick. These coaches can handle these type of players now, and I said it when we signed him, it doesn't hurt to have a couple of chippy people on the defense talking smack. That's what you need. And the coolest thing that I'm excited for to see is, we know Jaquan Brisker likes to do his little, when plays aren't going the offense's way, when they're on defense, he'll always do this little bird. I don't know that, or it's like silence the crowd type of thing. Tyreek Stevenson is interesting because we kind of talked about this. He's done a little too much where he's not focused on the game as much. But I do think now the way he started this year and how he's been playing, I think he's finally can have a good balance of it where you can still talk your stuff and then also still be focusing on the game. But those three, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Tyreek, and now Jaquan Brisker, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of sellies out of them this weekend if the Bears defense is playing well. And like you said, I think the most important part about CJ Gardner-Johnson is he can blitz. He can do exactly what Kyle Gordon does in the blitzing game where he's lining up right on the line and he's going headhunt to go kill the quarterback. They're both similar players. And, having him in there to fill in is massive. It honestly is.
Yeah, I think, we've talked about it all year long, especially me with Tyreek Stevenson, and I said this would be a bounce back year for him, and I think he's done a great job, right? I mean, he's been solely focused on the game, doing his job, doing what he should do, which is what you want to do as a player, right? My fear is, and I know it's fun, right, when you're getting the sellies and all that fun stuff. My fear is though that Tyreek gets a little lost in all this and maybe doesn't maintain the focus. Now, if they're all getting interceptions or they're tackling for a loss or, they're doing some strips, that's great. Do whatever you want to do. I just hope Tyreek stays focused on the game he's having this year and continues to be the player we want. I am a little concerned that maybe some of that.
Well, I think a very important part too is it's controlling it. It's like you don't need to be talking smack during the play as it's happening when you're worrying about your job. But like you said, if an interception happens, pass, deflect the ball, get together, then you can
Yeah,
talk your smack. It's one of the things even in college when I was playing lacrosse. It's definitely a thing where you got to worry about your job first, and then you can do the talking afterwards.
right, right, right.
Because
You don't do the talking in the middle of a Hail
yeah,
Mary pass play when
yeah,
your game's on the line, and then you're the reason you lose.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think they'll get it under control. Ben Johnson already talked about it this week of those three players. He's ready hearing them at practice, out there all week. So it's I think it's definitely going to be fun to see, and hopefully, if the Bears do come away with this, NFL always does mic'd up. Like all these players are mic'd up, and depending on who wins, who loses, they'll release some of these hot mic footage, and those three can be an interesting group to kind of all pair together and listen to on a hot mic after a game, just to see some of the stuff they were saying. But I'm super excited to see those three play together. And, I know Kyler's going to be out for another 3 games, but the good thing with CJ Gardner-Johnson is he can play cornerback, he can play nickel, and he can play safety. So as much as our DB room has taken a lot of hits this year, he's a perfect signing because if another guy goes down once Kyler comes back, he could probably fill in that role and do that. And that's honestly what the Bears need, because I think a lot of people are forgetting too. The real guy that was competing with Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith, he had a season-ending injury in preseason. He would probably be out there right now, but he's not. Our second-round draft pick, Zay Frazier, he obviously, it's personal reasons. We don't know exactly, but he's not even playing this year due to something like that. So there's a lot of depth that we had at this cornerback position coming into the season, but with injuries and, Jalen Johnson obviously being out probably for the season, depending on what happens down the stretch with the playoffs. But this cornerback room came in as one of the strong spots, and they're just, hanging on by a thread, and there's still half a season to be played. So I think
Yeah.
CJ Gardner-Johnson's a perfect addition. So when other people go down, he can fill in. He's played a variety of everything, and he knows Dennis Allen's system.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about having him on the team. Obviously, a welcomed addition and a needed addition based on that. And speaking of that, you think about the Bears and the whole preseason. And now we're eight games in. The ninth week of the season. What's up with all the injuries? I don't know if I've ever seen this many injuries on one team. It's like the plague, because every time I turn around and in the whole DeAndre Swift thing, if you remember last week in the game, he was limited. Like he was already kind of injured going into that game, and then he eventually kind of disappeared from it. And then you saw more Monangai in that game. I'm just wondering though what's going on with the physical training, nutrition,
I was a yeah.
stretching, all those things that pro athletes should be doing to take care of their bodies. Something's amiss in the Bears organization when it comes to keeping players healthy.
I was about to say, I think I texted you. You and a mom were obviously on a cruise this week, and I was trying to keep you updated with some of the injury reports, but I literally texted you that like the physical training and the nutritionist in Chicago and House Hall, someone needs to start holding them accountable because, like you're saying, it's not like these, like, yeah, there's some ankle concussion, but a lot of these are groin, calf. Like that is stuff you can physically work on stretching and putting the right stuff in your body to prevent these injuries. They're popping up way too frequently for this Bears team. And I agree. I don't know who it is off the top of my head, but that they need to get looked at and get held accountable because whatever they're doing, something isn't working. On top of that, too, a lot of these calf and groin injuries, they kind of seem to be lingering on too for a while when it doesn't really seem like they're getting better. And that's the part that is concerning. I do agree. I do think injuries overall in the league have ramped up. Like a lot of teams are having some injury problems. The Ravens last week when we played them, that was the first time they were healthy since week 1. Their defense has been beaten up. So I don't know
God
what
we didn't play Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean he looks good, man. That's why that game is can come back and haunt us easily.
It
Luckily
haunted me all
though,
Monday.
I will say, luckily on the Bears side, it didn't drop them. There's still one place out of that wild card spot, right where they were. But there was a lot of the teams that lost where the Bears probably could have been in that 6, 7 seed, which obviously it's a long season. But games like that are games you might look back on come end of the season if we don't make the playoffs and be like, we don't blow that lead to Minnesota week 1 and, we take care of, the Ravens having a backup quarterback in, those are 2 games you can look at come down later on in the season. But nonetheless, you can't do anything about it now. Got to look forward. But yeah, I think the keys to this defense is like I said, it's keeping Jamar Chase and T. Higgins at bay. They're going to make their plays. They're going to catch balls, but it's about limiting those. Honestly, you got to find ways to stop them from having scoring possessions because that is one thing about the Bengals. The reason they lose a bunch of these games is the same story as last year. Their defense is terrible, and they're mostly in shootout games, and they never come out on the other side of them. The Bengals offense has put up 30 points or more every single home game this year. So the Bears defense has a tall task ahead of them, and they're going to have to contain, obviously, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And then the other part of it, I think Dennis Allen last week with Nick McLeod being in there and then another backup cornerback, he wasn't really blitzing all as much. He's going to need a blitz early in this game. It speeds up Flacco's clock. He's going to have to throw the ball earlier if he does want to throw it, which, Jamar Chase can be in the middle of a route. You never know, stuff like that. But I do think the Bears need to heat up the blitz early in this game and get Flacco sped up, get him on the ground. Because if he sits there in the pocket, he's a veteran quarterback. We've seen it time and time again as Bears fans. If you let a veteran quarterback just sit back there and have 5 seconds to throw the ball, he's gonna have a day, and we don't need that. The other side of it, the running game, they mostly run in between the guards up front. They don't really run any outside stuff. So these linebackers are going to need to come up, fill the gaps. Chase Brown is a kind of a smaller guy, kind of like a Tariq Cohen. He's a little bit bigger than Tariq Cohen, but he hides behind those linemen up the middle, and then he'll bounce stuff out to the outside. So got to fill the gaps, keep an eye on him. But other than that, obviously, I think the main thing is just keep an eye on Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I expect Nahshon Wright to be on T. Higgins. He always guards the more lengthier jump ball wide receivers. And then Tyreek, he is back this week, practice all week. He will probably be on Jamar Chase with a safety over the top. So this will be a good week for Tyreek to kind of, he's played some pretty good receivers, but this is a tall task. I remember probably Tyreek's worst game of the season was against Detroit, and Amon St. Brown just kept torching him route after route. So this is a good chance for Tyreek to come back. Obviously Jamar Chase is going to make his plays, but try to limit them as much as possible.
Yeah, I think another little side note to this game, kind of an interesting note, I think, is big man Billings up there at the D tackle spot, right? He's going to be playing in his 100th game, and he's coming back to where it all started for him in Cincinnati. So that'll be pretty interesting. Obviously, he'll have a lot of pride coming back to where he used to play from, his 100th game. and talking about that pressure that you mentioned on Flacco or whoever's back there. That should be pretty interesting to watch that matchup to see if he gets a little action in there, as well as does Adio get back in the game?
Hold on. Now that you just brought up Dio, I'm forgetting a very important piece who's making his return.
I was going there.
Austin Booker is
Booker.
back this week. He is playing in his first game this season. And Dennis Allen in his presser earlier this week, the DCs and OCs, they talk on Wednesday to the media. Dennis Allen said Austin Booker looks phenomenal. It's just a little weird that they waited this long to elevate him to the actual team. Maybe they were just making sure the injury was 100% gone and he was 100% good to go. But man, Austin Booker had a great preseason. He led the NFL in sacks in the preseason. He brings a different type of versatility to this defensive line. Dennis Allen typically likes those bigger DNs like Montez Sweat. He's not really fast. He's more of a bigger power rusher guy. Same with Dio Adengbo. These guys aren't really that quick for edge rushers. But Austin Booker, he's a little undersized. But the thing with him is he has the speed that where he can bend and dip that shoulder as the DNs like to do, and then, cut it at a 90-degree angle and just go kill the quarterback. So I'm super excited to see what Austin Booker can do. It's been interesting too, as you bring up Dio. If you're an average fan, you probably don't catch on to this, but if you watch a lot of film on the Bears, Dio started on the outside early in the season with the Bears. However, he's got moved to the inside in that D tackle spot. He's having a lot more success rushing there. I know you probably don't see it on film because or in the stat sheet, you're like, he doesn't have a sack, but when it's his one-on-one reps on the inside, he's getting a lot more better pressure than he is on the edge. So maybe Austin Booker fully takes that spot. The problem with Austin Booker, though, has been his rushing defense. He is more of a pass rusher because of his size. When you're run blocking, you kind of try to hold the lineman up and then, toss the lineman whatever way you need to get to the running back. And since he's a little bit undersized at the DN spot is why he usually isn't very viable in the run game. But one thing about Austin Booker that I love about him from last season of what I recall is this guy is always 100% effort to the play. No matter if he's on the other side of the field, you will always see him in the camera running to the football. Super excited to have him back. And, who knows, maybe he brings a spark. This Bears pass rush defense needs it. I mean, Montez Sweat is on a 3-game sack streak, which is definitely good to see because, we pay him a lot of money. He needs a lot more than just that, but he's definitely been trending up in the right direction. The Montez Sweat we've been wanting to see. So hopefully Montez Sweat continues that, gets another sack this week. Maybe Austin Booker contributes in there as well. But I almost totally forgot that he was coming back.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see that and what that brings to the team. But we'll switch over to the offense because I think that's where we want to spend some time talking about your favorite number 18.
Yeah,
number 18 on the roster, number 1 in your heart.
Obviously, repping the jersey.
You're in trouble. You wore the wrong shirt.
Hold on. I was just about to bring it up. The tradition's done. The Bears lost. When that doesn't matter anymore. So I'm good. That's why the jersey's back on the show. It's honestly good the Bears probably lost last week because I wouldn't go to the Bears game and just wear that Bears shirt in person this week. I'd wear the jersey, obviously. So it gives me a better reason to feel more comfortable wearing the jersey in the stadium. The Juju's, it's over. The Bears are going to win or lose no matter what I do. But let's talk about the offense.
Well, hold on before you start, because I'm going to talk a little bit about your number 1 favorite drafted quarterback in the league. So overall grade so far in 2025, he's a 67.4 rating. He's 25th out of 37 QBs. In passing yards, 1636. He's 13th out of 37 QBs.
That's pretty good.
And passing touchdowns, he's got 9, so he's 19th out of 37 QBs. Does that sound like number 1 drafted overall generational talent QB stats that you hope for out of your QB?
Okay, but no,
Nope.
I'll answer
Nope.
the question. Oh, I'll answer the question. No, it doesn't sound like number one generational talent. Did Caleb Williams call himself a generational talent? Let me ask you that question.
Nope.
No, who labeled him that? The media. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let the kid relax. He's gonna be fine. It's not his fault. They labeled him as generational talent. He is, in my opinion, I do think he is I wouldn't say generational, but he is a very talented quarterback, and it's not as far off as these fans are making it to be. And I do got a message for Bears fans out there. How many quarterbacks have we seen that don't even do half the stuff Caleb does? Caleb had the best rookie season a Bears quarterback has ever had, and we got people on Twitter, oh my God, put Tyson Bagent in. Let's slow the freaking roll here. All right, slow down. I think people are forgetting. He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in 2 weeks now. I understand. 5 weeks into the season, he was number one in touchdown passes. He was up there and all that. It's all right. Everything's going to be okay. If you listen to your head coach, who has probably been the Bears' best head coach since Lovie Smith, he has said it is not going to be linear. There's going to be growing pains. It's going to be ups. There's going to be downs. Stuff is going to happen. Guess what? Here's another point for you. Caleb Williams only threw for 175 yards against the Saints defense. You know how much Baker Mayfield threw, who's in the MVP conversation against the Saints last week? How many did he throw? Under 200 yards. Guess what, guys? The sky isn't falling. It's all right. It happens. I'm tired this is the problem with Bears fans. I get it. You guys have been through pain. I've been through it too. Maybe not as much as like people like you, but at the same time.
Just say
No, hold on. Just the same time, just listen to this. We haven't had a quarterback like this, and you guys are so quick to run him out of town. You guys ruin the quarter. Why do Bears never have a good quarterback? Because you guys ruin them. You guys chew them to pieces. Calm the hell down.
I mean, we've been through enough of them.
Yeah, but it actually drives me insane. You guys try so hard to run people out of town instead of letting people develop. It's crazy. And I get it. The other side of it, I do understand. Hey, look at Drake May. He's in year one with the new system. And look at him. He doesn't have as good as receivers as the Bears have. And look what he's doing. I hear you. But guess what? At the end of the day, these are their own quarterbacks. They're going to develop at their own time. Look at Jaden Daniels. Everyone's quiet this year about him. He's having a terrible year. He's not playing good. Guess what? The Commanders might win 5 games. I wonder if they're going to crucify them just as much as they crucified the Bears.
It could be. I mean,
I
got another fun stat that'll tie into your quarterback.
This is going to be a good TikTok video later.
It's going to be awesome. So this one's great right here. I love this stat because it's kind of telling on the Bears this year. And maybe not on the Bears. Maybe it's on Caleb Williams. That's why I bring it up. So we have 2 kickers, right? Santos and Moody.
Yep.
Do you know they're combined for 23 field goals?
Yeah.
They have the most combined field goals in the league.
Yep.
Just think about that, right? Because that means we're not putting up touchdowns. And do you want to know for extra points? Only 17. It just means we're not scoring touchdowns.
And I hear you. And I we've said it. We need to convert more of those to touchdowns, and the Bears would be just fine. The thing with the Bears too is in the red zone, they count this as field goals, and this usually red zone only counts there's a percentage for completing touchdowns in the red zone, but there's also a stat out there for how much you're converting just in the red zone in general. The Bears are 4th in the league at 50-something%. We agree. Ben Johnson has addressed it. We need to find ways to score more touchdowns instead of field goals. We understand that. And that's why when you actually zoom out and look at the whole thing, it isn't all that bad. We're not that far away. It's converting half of those into touchdowns isn't that big of a stretch that could happen. It's a couple, and this all leads back to penalties too on top of it. There's a lot of stuff that contributes into this. And Caleb is part of that. I agree. He is definitely part of that. It's his job to throw the ball and score touchdowns. But there is a lot of tied pieces that go into it. For example, last week, everyone on that last play of the game to DJ Moore, everyone watching the game, that's Caleb's fault. He just missed DJ Moore wide open. Guess what? You go watch the All-22, and Ben Johnson addressed it too in the press conference. DJ Moore has the option to sit down the route if there's in a zone. He sat down right in front of Roquan Smith, and Caleb threw the ball where he should have been running to. Like Ben Johnson said, there's a lot of stuff when you're watching the game for a casual fan that you're like, oh my God, that's Caleb's fault. Listen to the head coach. What did he say this week? This is the best game Caleb's played in 3 weeks. He played a great game and showed improvement.
Any good head coach, right? Any good leader is going to let me finish. Let me finish. I'm trying to get your blood boiling today.
Oh, well, it's already boiling.
Any good coach is going to protect their QB, right? And because it's leadership, right? It's my fault. We didn't connect. I didn't put him in the best possible scenario to win the game. That's what leaders do. But at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. And I love numbers, right? Because they never lie. They tell the truth. And so you mentioned Drake May, right? And there's a report going out there this week about the scouting tape that Mr. Poles kind of laughed off Drake May and how he's not a good quarterback. I'm not saying I wanted to draft Drake May. Don't get me wrong here. And I still like Caleb Williams. But for the Patriots, do you know how many field goals they've kicked?
I don't care. They're
only
in the
12.
AFC. Let them have fun.
That's only 12.
All right.
Harrison Butker. How many do you think he's kicked?
Well, he is on the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are pretty darn good.
How many has he kicked?
13.
12.
All right,
let's go to Josh Allen.
Oh my God!
Because you always bring Josh Allen up. The first couple of years, how many you think Prater's kicked?
Yeah, and what? Josh Allen's on year 7, year 8.
He's only kicked 12.
Okay, nice.
Just telling you, we have a touchdown problem. And I would be okay if the touchdowns were like drop balls, right? Then I'd be like, it's not on him. It's on. We need better wide receivers, or it's a QB problem. We got to figure a way for him to connect. Take the easy pass, do the check down to someone else other than Swift, and score points. That's all it's about. You want the media not to get mad at him. You want the media not to criticize him. Win games. Winning cures all.
And no, that doesn't cure all, because he was winning against the Saints, and it's still the same thing. It doesn't matter. He won against the Commanders and should have had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns if the refs aren't there, and it was still crucified Caleb Williams. It's a lose-lose for him every single week. Yes, it is.
Come on.
It is. But back to your point about Ben Johnson protecting the quarterback. Yeah, I understand that point. But how many times have we seen Ben Johnson call Caleb out, call other players on the team out? He's not protecting them. If Caleb didn't improve, he would have said he didn't improve. He's already done that this season. So that point is invalid. And it's funny, hindsight 2020, no one was saying Drake May was – last year was Caleb and Jaden. It wasn't Drake May. Now, because he's having a good season. Yeah, okay. That's so dumb. It's, but you guys just want to play hindsight, bro. How about we just worry about the Bears?
I'm worried about the Bears. I'm worried about us not scoring touchdowns.
Okay, and you want to bring up stats. You want to know who was first in red zone percentage and scoring touchdowns through the first 4 weeks of the season? You want to take a guess?
What do you
want? I get it. I get it, but that's the thing. It's not a problem scoring touchdown. Right now it's a problem, but we've done it before. Yeah, we got to fix things. I think that's what coaches are for. But the Bears were number 1 through 4 weeks in red zone percentage, converting them into touchdowns. So let's slow down. It'll be all right. It's year 1. There's going to be growing pains. Ben Johnson said it himself.
All right.
I get it. We need a win. I get it. We need to win games.
I'm just being the voice of the Chicago fan out there right now.
Oh, I know. The fans that they just watch the game and don't do anything else.
They just won't win.
It's like, but it's like reading a headline out there and running with it before you actually do the full research of it. It's a little crazy. And at the end of the day, for the fans saying, this is the last thing, we'll move on from Caleb, but the fans out there, let's see what Tyson can do. Let's see what Tyson can do. Caleb isn't playing good. The head coach is saying Caleb's improving. I'm going to trust the head coach out of myself, you, all the other Bears fans out there that don't know football. And it's, by the way, too, it's not just Ben Johnson, the head coach of the offense, breaking down the film. There's Kurt Warner out there. There's other people that have played in the league and know what a quarterback should and shouldn't be doing, and they're saying he's doing just fine. Everyone relax. But with that heated segment, let's hop into the Bears offense, because that's where we were talking about and where we were headed. But
Caleb's supposed to be the offense.
We were at the beginning of the show, I did say I wanted to read out some Bengals defense stats, and I will say if the offense does not look good this game, I will join you guys and be concerned. But let's read off some stats for the Bengals defense. Rushing yards per game. They're giving up 152 rushing yards per game. Where does that rank? 32nd in the league. They give up 256 passing yards per game. Where does that rank? 31st in the league. 29th in sack rate. They're averaging 4.1% sacks. 29th in the league. 31st in third down defense. They are giving up a third down conversion 48.5% of the time, about 50%. So one every 2 third downs they're giving up. Doesn't matter the down, the distance, they're giving them up. They're 32nd in defense in points per game. The average team has been putting up 31.6 points per game against their defense. They are 30th in red zone stop percentage and 31st in EPA defense, which if you don't know what EPA is, Ben Johnson's all about EPA offense and defensive side of it. It pretty much just judges. It's a ranking for how good your defense is per play metric, and they're second to last in the league. So this defense is dead last or second to last or in the bottom 5 in almost every defensive category. And the Bears definitely need to have a good offensive game this game. We've been kind of saying it. We thought it was going to be the Saints. Thought it could have been a good game against the Ravens. I think a lot of people, including ourselves, the Ravens defense was back to full strength, and we kind of underestimated it. They had 3 takeaways again Thursday night against the Dolphins. But this is definitely, without a doubt, this is kind of like how we said going into that Cowboys game, like Caleb needed to have a good game, and he did, but he's going to need to have another one here. Get the Bears back in a win column, especially too. This is another away game, and next week we'll be at home. But the Bears offense is going to need to have a good, showing here, and it's everywhere. It's not just we're not only just going to need to be successful in the passing game, but running game as well. This defense is vulnerable everywhere, so we should see some huge chunk plays, as the Bears do lead the NFL in explosive plays. It's just about converting these. I think that is the main theme. The main theme of this team, especially for the offense, is limit the penalties, and we need to convert more in the red zone and convert touchdowns instead of field goals. I think that's the main theme right now that we're at. And when you really look at it, it's not like we're luckily getting down to this red zone. We're getting there pretty consistently. We just need to figure out how to execute down there at a higher percentage.
Now you highlighted a pretty ugly defense, and I'm gonna tell you you've glossed over or you haven't brought it up yet, but I'm gonna bring it up. And we talked about this last Sunday. Justin Fields, 39,
Stop talking
38.
about Justin Fields.
No. Listen, 39-38, right? Jets beat the Bengals. If Caleb loses to the Bengals and doesn't put up points and yards against the last rank or second to last ranked team, it will be pandemonium in the media locally and nationally at 3:15 in the afternoon on Sunday. It will be, you think it's bad now, 10 weeks into the season, it will be unbearable. And Caleb, it'll be bad. And I don't know what does Ben Johnson say then?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I said if this game isn't good for offensively, I will be worried 100%.
I got a question for you. If it's not good offensively through the first half, does he get yanked?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I think the whole point of this season, as coming into the season, in our first episode we ever did with this podcast, where we broke down the season and our expectations, our breakout players, I think we said it. The main thing of this season is to figure out if Caleb Williams is the guy, because next year he will be on his last year of his rookie deal, and they need to figure out if they want to pay him money. As of right now, I'd agree. He's probably not getting that contract extension as of yet. Not saying he hasn't done enough. He's done. My point is, I don't think he's done worse where it's clearly he's not the guy, but I think he's sitting in the middle where it's like it's a 50-50 shot. He hasn't really proven on the other side, like where you'd be like 75-25. It's not like a guarantee yet that he's going to get paid and be the franchise quarterback for years to come for this Bears team. So I think this year, no matter what, you ride it out. You let him see the development from top to bottom. You never know, though. Maybe Ben Johnson, at the end of the day, he starts, getting mad and he wants to win. He is very competitive. We've seen that. However, I would probably compare this back to Jared Goff. The first year there, it was going terrible. They were 1-8, and they rode it out the whole season and let it develop and see where it ended up. I think we're in similar spot over here. It's going to be painful at times, but you got to see it through, because at the end of the day, you assign Tyson Bagent to the extension. So if you really want to go down that road, you have time later on to do that. Right now it's about figuring out if Caleb Williams is that guy and making sure, if you are going to get rid of him, that you 100% went through every little process and detail you could to figure that out and then move on from there. So no, I don't think there's a time where, unless Caleb gets hurt, that Tyson's going to come in the game.
Okay. I just wanted to check. I was throwing it out there because,
but I think you would agree, right? That's the main point of the season, is figuring out if he is the guy, because next year will be his last year. And if he doesn't finish this year strong, next year, we talked about this year being a big year coming in from. Next year will be massive for Caleb if it doesn't look improved. And that's the other thing. Caleb's stats are already improved from his rookie year. They still are. He's still on track. The interceptions, you could say that's not on track, but everything else, and that's the other thing. It's all negative, Caleb. It's not positive. We're not going to talk about him only taking 12 sacks through 8 games. I mean, he's credit to the O-line too, but who's number 1 in the league too of avoiding sacks, pressures? It's Caleb Williams. Him and Josh Allen are at the very top of escaping sacks that should be sacks. He's just, like I said, I think we're going to be just fine. It's about the little stuff right now, converting in the red zone, penalties, and then obviously we saw it a couple weeks ago for a couple of games, the accuracy stuff, but last week there was a couple of throws. Outside of that, the accuracy was pretty good. It's about getting all the little details honed in. The bigger stuff, I feel like Caleb is doing well. He's throwing with a lot of anticipation, something we've never seen in recent years in Bears. We always had to see the guy you were just talking about, Justin Fields, see a guy wide open before he throws the ball. Caleb throws with anticipation. There was a good amount of throws, 7 to 8 throws last week, where he's throwing where 4 people are even in their break, and he's hitting them in the chest. Ben Johnson even said it. The in routes, the breaking in routes that we weren't really hitting on early in the season, he saw them on time with anticipation, right where they need to be. Like this, I really do believe, it is going to be just fine. I'm going to give Caleb the benefit of the doubt because, like I said, we've never had a rookie quarterback do what he did last year, ever. Go back to your time. Never have had it. So I don't get this crucifixion of, I get it. You want to be hard on him. You want to hold him to a high standard because he's a number 1 pick. But at the same time, everyone needs to take a deep breath and relax, because this is the other problem with the Bears fans. This is the other problem. When we went on that 4-game winning streak, Caleb's the guy. Yeah, the Bears are going to the Super Bowl. We're back. And then they lose 1 game. By the way, they lose 1 game out of the past 5 games. Get him out of here. Let's run him out of the city. He's terrible. You guys are insanity. Like, I get it. I get part of it why some other fan bases look at us and they're like, you guys are delusional, because it is so week to week with you guys. You guys are so focused in on one little thing. I get it. But at the same time, take a step back and relax.
They just want to win. Hey, I want to give you another game the Bengals played earlier this year, since we can't use Justin Fields. Bo Nix, when was he drafted?
Somewhere in the top 12, because 6 quarterbacks went.
He's part of the 2024 draft class, right?
Yep.
So I'm just going to read you his numbers when the Broncos played the Bengals. 29 for 42, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, and then he carried one for a touchdown as well that game. So 3 total touchdowns. Chance or no chance, Caleb can beat those numbers this Sunday.
Touchdowns wise, yes, I think he can get more than 3 touchdowns. 300 yards, I think he can get. It just depends. Caleb should have had he probably should have had almost 400 yards in that Cowboys game, but we started running the ball once we're up. If that's how this goes, which it really just depends on the defense. If the defense is stopping them, Caleb will probably have a really good first half, and then they're going to start running the ball and just play strategically, play smart. If it is a shootout, yeah, Caleb should be able to match those numbers, if not have better. Completion percentage wise, I don't know. That is probably the one thing where I do have concern with Caleb is sometimes that completion percentage, it's always right around the low 60s, sometimes even in the high 50s. So that's one thing if I were to say I want to see get cleaned up. And obviously too, you can say, there's drop balls or stuff like that, but every quarterback, even if they have a high completion percentage, there's throws they have that are drop balls, stuff like that. So at the end of the day, if there's one thing I do want Caleb to work on is just the completion percentage, and I get it. This offense, it is a little bit different where you are taking a lot more deeper throws or in breaking routes for those explosive plays. But at the same time, too, it should still be a little bit. I'd like to see it on the other side of like 65. It's fine if it's in the 60s. Make it on the other side of 65, which right now I think he's sitting at like 62 on the season. So definitely need to see it get up there a little bit higher. But like I said, I think, as fans were watching the game last week, when you're watching in real time, a lot of the stuff did look like Caleb's fault or you didn't like what you saw in replays. But when you go watch the all 22, I'm telling you, there's plenty of people that came out and said it is not as bad as I thought it was watching the game. In the game, it makes it feel like that, but you got to go watch the film and break it down before you go make these crazy takes all over Twitter and whatever you got to do out there.
All righty.
But let's hop in. I think this has definitely been a good episode. I'm interested to see the clips that come out of this one because I think they'll definitely get the clicks on social media for sure, especially if there's a couple in there of you all over Caleb because the Bears fans seem to love it. And it also helps the other fans that aren't Bears fans. They love to chime in and say your quarterback paints his nails and, oh, my God, he cries in his mom's arms. But let's just hop into the last segment where we do our defense and offensive MVPs with our score predictions. I will let you kick it off first. Go ahead. Take us away.
Oh, you're killing me. Defense first. I'm going to take the new kid on the block, and I'm going to go with Gardner.
Okay.
And
interception, sack.
I think he's going to have an interception, potentially a pick six. I just get that vibe out of him. He just seems like that guy who wants to prove. And not so much he wants to prove, he wants to show. So I think he's going to have a good game. That's my pick. New kid on the block will be the guy to be the difference maker on the defense. And then offense, my heart says Caleb, especially going against that defense. But I'm going to go the round 7 draft pick, Kyle Monangai, has a day, 130 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And the score prediction?
(27-23) Cincinnati.
Wow, that's crazy. All right, I'll start off with my score prediction. I'm going 41-28. Bears are going to win this game. Like I said, they're giving up 31.6 points per game to opposing offenses. This Bengals defense. The Bears have been plenty of games where they could have put up 40, but like we've talked about with the red zone struggles, it hasn't quite got there. Facing this defense, I think the Bears finally break 40 this season. I say 41-28. Bears will win this game. If I'm going with an offensive MVP, I will ride with my guy 18. I'm going to have him having a massive day, 300 plus yards in the air. I'm going to say completion percentage wise, like I said, I want to see it anything over 65%. And I think he's going to have another Cowboys type week where he throws for 4 passing touchdowns. I think he's going to have a really good game. I'll ride with him. You guys want to sell your Caleb Williams stock? I'm here to buy it. I don't want you guys jumping on the fan bus later, even though on Twitter after he has a performance like this, oh my God, Caleb's back. Keep him. Don't worry. I was just kidding. And don't worry too. On our Twitter page, I have a lot of bookmarked tweets from some of these people out there, especially some national media people. There'll be plenty of bookmarks out there. And just like Caleb probably has, he probably has a lot of bookmarks for one day when he wins the big one. I can't wait to see the day. But on the defensive side of the ball, I like where you went with it. I was definitely thinking he could be a big impact in this game. But trying to think who I want to give my defensive MVP to. I am going to probably give this to Kevin Byard. I can see him. This offense, this Bengals offense is just going to be throwing the ball. I'm sure just like Kevin talks about it in the locker room, how he watches a lot of film and he's seeing stuff really well this year. Kind of knowing when they set up in formations, he kind of knows what's going to happen already. I think Kevin Byard's going to have another interception in this game. Should have had one last week. However, Tremaine Edmonds tipped it, not his fault, but looked like he was about to pick six that, take it to the crib, and continue that interception streak. But I think Kevin Byard is going to be the MVP of this game because I think he's going to have an interception as well. But I do like the Bears to have a pick six in this game on the defense. I don't know where it's going to come from, but I think one of the guys is going to have a pick six in this game. But yeah, I think this is a very get right game for the Bears. Get them ready to go for their away game that they've been on an away game stretch for quite some time. And then bring us back home to take on the Giants next week, which I'm sure will be another fun show because, you're a big Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo guy. I mean, Cam Scatterbo's gone, but
I know.
I hear it all the time from you about them. But that'll be for next week's show. As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Down in the description, we have our socials as well. This will do it for the pregame show. Make sure to catch up on the postgame show after the game, hopefully with the Bears victory. I will say, too, I'm going to be doing a lot of IRL content over at the Cincinnati Stadium, interacting with Bears fans. Got a couple ideas to go around, interview some people, some fans I see at the game. So make sure to check that out. That'll be uploaded on our TikTok. But that'll do it for this episode, Dad. Hopefully we get a Bears win on the other side. But in the meantime, Bear down.